What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to do something pretty darn fun. I want to talk about 10 games that I feel really good about that are going to be at E3 2021. Now, I'm not guaranteeing these games, but as you guys may or may not have noticed, I've done like 30-plus videos on specific games over the last couple days. We've done individual publisher predictions. I predicted Microsoft. I predicted Nintendo, Square Enix. I've gone crazy, and I've honestly loved it, and it seems like you guys have really love these videos, and I really do appreciate it. But I wanted to do something like this where, throughout these videos, I've said before, like, okay, some of these games I feel really good about, some of these games I don't feel really good about. So I want to try to put together a bunch of games that I do feel good, whether or not, I am massively disappointed in the end. That definitely could happen. I want to talk about 10 games that I feel could definitely be at E3, okay? If you guys do like that, or if you've liked my E3 coverage, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, so all these videos go up. Give this video a like, and if you want to support us even more, we do have Patreon. We do have a membership on YouTube. They're the exact same thing, just two different places to support us. Patreon, the link's in the description. Obviously, the join button is next to the subscribe button. Would love to have you guys over there. You get exclusive benefits, all that good stuff, and that's pretty much it. Okay, let's jump in to the video. So, again, I'm not guaranteeing these. These could be setting myself up for failure. I very well know that. I tried to make it even. I think I did like around one or two from as many of the publishers as I could find. So we're going to start with Koch Media. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but they are going to E3. They're actually going to be on Friday, June 11th, which is an even E3, which I've laughed about in past videos before. I think that's really stupid and terrible planning. But two games I do feel really good about, and again, could be led astray: Dead Island 2 and Saints Row 5. So for Dead Island, I really just think it's the time. That's kind of it. There's no, they've said things have been going well. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't heard, and I guess that's another thing, right? They've said things are going well, but we also haven't heard behind the scenes that there's any massive issues. All we heard about like a while ago is that obviously it jumped like 3 or 4 different developers. So like the game we're going to get is not the same game that started. But I mean, like, you could say, oh, the game's been canceled. The game has been canceled actually before. They did cancel it, but they brought it back. So I guess you would technically be right by saying it. But I don't know. I just feel like it's the time. I don't expect like a release date or anything, but just to see it in maybe like a new trailer. It's been a very, I don't even, like, was it 2014, 2015? I don't even remember the year they showed that trailer, but it's been long enough. I think a trailer makes sense. And then Saints Row, I mean, I think all the stars, it's probably in my top 3 in terms of how confident I feel. We know they've been working on it. We know they've been working on it for years. We know that they probably wanted to announce it last year. It probably could have released last year if the stuff around the world didn't happen. I really think this is a good game this is a game that could be announced and then released. Like, could be released this fall. So I feel really good about Saints Row 5. If I had to put money on any game being announced, I'd probably put it on Saints Row, okay? That's really all I have for them. Moving on to Square Enix, now I'm going to try to, this is a blanket thing. You could say I'm covering my behind, but Final Fantasy something is literally what I wrote down. Final Fantasy something. And that's just because, it depends on what they want to do. You obviously have 7 Remake Part 2. You have Final Fantasy 16. You have that new prequel Sony exclusive one. You could do all 3. 2 of them technically haven't been shown at all yet, right? So, like, you could do a mix, you could do one of them, but I can't imagine Square Enix goes and they don't have something Final Fantasy. You know what I mean? So, if I had to put my money down on something, I would say that prequel Final Fantasy, the PlayStation exclusive, that's the one that I would say I feel most good on. But honestly, it could be that there were rumors of 16 being shown, and then there'd be like a demo or some sort of beta, like some sort of ability to play the game this fall. So, I mean, if you're going to do that, then maybe that's the one you show. Ultimately, though, I think there's going to be something Final Fantasy. I'm also really going to keep banging on the Tomb Raider thing. I made a video just on Tomb Raider. I mentioned Tomb Raider in the Square Enix predictions video. So every time I've had a chance to, I've mentioned it. I really think it's possible. Now, other people have said it too, which is only like amplified my strong belief in it. But to be honest with you, I was saying it before other people were saying it. No, I'm not like an insider. I don't know things, but I mean, I'm gonna, like, I said it first, so I'm gonna hold true to my own belief. And if it's not there, obviously it's not there. But again, it's a big anniversary. We know they're talking about it. We know they have been talking about it. We know they're gonna be talking about it throughout the year. Why not give us a title? Like, again, none of these have to mean, oh, we get gameplay, we get a trailer, we get a release date. Like, we get all three things. My list doesn't mean that we get all of those. It just means they're there in some capacity, right? So for Tomb Raider, I don't think we get a trailer. I don't think we get gameplay. They've probably been making the game for like a year or so. I think we get probably a title, but I think that they do mention it in some way. Okay, moving on to Microsoft. These two are easy: Starfield and Halo. Those are cop-outs, but those are the most likely easy. I mean, they're literally in the picture of Microsoft's E3. But no, they have, like we've talked about, it depends on how they want to do things, but you could keep announcing games that are years away. You could show us games like Avowed and Fable and Everwild, and games that are, 2022, maybe 2023. But in reality, you also have to focus on the stuff that's coming soon. And the only one that's really coming, there's The Ascent, which The Ascent honestly looks really, really good, which is late July. But that's a smaller game. Halo, big game, their big fall game. And then Starfield, which is probably 2022 at this point, right? But those are their big games. Those are their big, upcoming. Like, they're very close to releasing games. So I think those are the ones they focus very heavily on. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw very long gameplay segments on it. I think Jeff Grubb said that for Halo, it's going to be focusing a lot on multiplayer. That's still a gameplay. So I would be right, because I've actually been saying that for a while, but it would be a gameplay segment. So, I think those two are obviously locks, but ultimately, look, I think those are some of the biggest things you're going into Microsoft's show wanting to see. So there's nothing really wrong with it being the main focus. One really quickly from Capcom, our good old friend Capcom. I do think they show Resident Evil Outrage, or whatever that ends up being. Now, technically, I guess it's supposed to be Revelations 3, or something along the lines of Revelations 3. And remember, the rumor is, well, they confirmed it in their own, like, Capcom themselves wanted it to come out at the end of this year. Now, did that get pushed throughout the year? It's definitely possible, but at the very latest, I would expect it very early 2022. And remember, the rumor is it's Revelations 3-ish, and it's a Switch exclusive at launch, at least like a timed exclusive. So could that be a Nintendo show? Definitely. Could it be a Capcom show, if they even have a show? Definitely. Okay, so I think they could announce other things. They could show a quick little tease of Resident Evil 4 Remake. They have others, like they have Dragon's Dogma 2. They have other stuff for sure that they're making. But, one at a time, maybe kind of method with them. I think announcing or showing it. I want DLC, by the way, for Resident Evil Village, but I'm not 100% sold on that being there, so I didn't want to, I'll mention it, but I didn't want to include it in my list. One from WB Games is Hogwarts Legacy. Again, I've been pounding this drum since May 2nd, okay? I really think it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of games from WB Games make sense, but at the same time, again, DC fandom kind of takes away the certainty of Gotham Knights and Suicide. Doesn't mean they can't be here, but it takes away the certainty of them. Lego Star Wars, I think, makes a lot of sense, but then there's that Lego Con at the end of June, so maybe it skips E3 to be there. So you have scapegoats for a lot of these, potential games. I think Hogwarts Legacy makes the most sense. It's the one I felt the best on, or best about, going into E3, and so I still feel it right now. And then Ubisoft, I did just want to do one of them, Far Cry 6. Again, I kind of wanted to go safe. Does it make sense to do Far Cry 6? It makes sense, and also doesn't make sense, because you just showed a bunch of stuff on it last week. So does it make sense 2 weeks later to show even more? I mean, I don't really need to see more. They didn't show a ton of gameplay on their own, but other people, like the people in the industry, they got to play a little segment that wrote their previews and made gameplay clips and stuff like that. There is a lot of gameplay out there for Far Cry 6. You know what I mean? So to even say, oh well, they could just show us gameplay. Well, we kind of already got that too. So I don't really, I personally am fine. Like, I'm getting Far Cry 6 day one for sure, but I don't really need to see any more. I would much rather see Skull and Bones. I'd much rather see a new Splinter Cell, a new Rayman game. Those kind of games, but in terms of safety, in terms of games we can really expect at E3, Far Cry 6. And then one from Nintendo, again, a very, very safe one, but Breath of the Wild 2. Now, This video I think goes up on Thursday. This is probably the day they announce the new Switch console, but I don't imagine they'll say anything about Breath of the Wild 2. They're probably saving that for E3. So I would imagine Breath of the Wild 2 comes out this fall with the new Switch system, which comes out September, October, November. And I imagine that Breath of the Wild 2 is their big game that they show at E3. New trailer, new gameplay, release date. So, I'm sure they have other things to show. There could be a new Mario game, like all that. And we've talked about that in past videos. But Breath of the Wild 2 obviously is that number one thing that I just can't imagine they skip out on. So that was a lot of fun personally for me recording this. I really hope it was a lot of fun for you guys to listen to and watch. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What's some games that you think are going to be there? Do you agree with my list? All that stuff, let me know. And again, we've been kind of a more honesty, like personal thing. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've made a lot of different videos like this. I'm not even done. We have other videos for E3 that I still want to do. We're just going to be picking up the pace. I'm very, very excited to cover this thing. And I think I've loved personally what I've done so far, and I hope that you guys have too. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. Again, Patreon and the join button if you guys want to support us there. That'd be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. Either way, I'm going to be covering E3 a ton over the next week and a half, 2 weeks. So I hope to see you guys for those videos.